Hello, this is Rishabh Daga 18BEC0248. I am making my YouTube videos for the digital assignments 1 and 2 for the subject computer organization and architecture. I'd like to keep this video short and informative. So let me start by explaining what all I have done and how I've done for my DA1. So my IC is MSP430FR6035. It's a water metering application IC made by Texas Instruments. Now the first question was to draw the clear block diagram of the microprocessor what we have chosen. So when we take a look at the data sheet, this is the data sheet, and you don't have to scroll down too much. When you scroll down 2 pages, you get the functional block diagram of the MSP430 family itself. But this is not what we have. We have the 603 family, not the 604. So this is what we had to draw. Now I downloaded the draw.io application from Google, from the internet, and here I've made the functional block diagram. It's not very tough, as you see. These are individual blocks that can be modified. Now this is done by taking elements like this from here, keeping it. Now you can change the sizes like this, write whatever you need to, delete, cut, copy, whatever. These arrows also can, like you can see, these are arrows that are editable. So this is proof that all of this, each individual thing is editable here, and these arrows and these block diagrams are proof of that. The arrows are also not difficult to get. You can take arrows like this, you can orient them, and that's how you go about it. So this is the editable EPS file that I have also uploaded here in the Google Drive under the name functional block diagram draw.io. So this will open up and be editable. So now we move on to question 2. Provide the instruction set of the microprocessing element. Now this was a bit complex because the instruction set is of the whole family that I have to provide with a clock cycle which varies upon the processor itself. So the IC could be the instruction set could be found for the family itself, and the clock cycle and other things were processor specific. Again, we go to the data sheet and we have to find the instructions net and all that. Now all this I took help from Google itself. So if we Google instruction set for MSP 430, this is what we have. See, this site I've already opened. So when we open this, you get the instruction set summary here, and this you have to again type whatever is necessary. The instruction set summary, I think I started from here. These are the instruction sets that I've put in my DA. Let me show you. So yeah, this is the instruction set summary that I've put. And now for the clock cycle and the memory, again we go to the datasheet because all of this again is very processor specific. So when you go to, let's say for memory, I think we just saw memory, tiny RAM, here it is memory, right? So you have to go to that page number. Let's scroll up from the very start itself so that we see we are not missing anything. I think here itself we can find 4 KB of RAM shared with CPU, and the instruction set also, it has provided a very wide overview. It's a 16-bit RISC architecture, and again we have the clock cycle itself, 16 megahertz clock. See, so we can find quite a few things in the first few pages itself. A very nicely made instruction set, data sheet, I would say. Texas Instruments make actually one of the best data sheets, which makes my DA and other things very smooth sailing. Now for memory also, here we can see the FRAM, a new type of RAM that helps in static holding of memory even when the computer is switched off, up to 256 KB. So all this we can find here. Now let's take a look at the third question, right? Now, sorry, yeah, I've skipped. So the third question, explain microprocessing element architecture. Now I just showed you what is the architecture type. It was a 16-bit RISC architecture, which we could see. Now the 16-bit RISC architecture, now you have to find about the number of registers and all that present. So this also we can find from the data sheet itself. when we look upon the word architecture. So how do you search in a in this is very simple. You here you type architecture, you see, yeah, see 16-bit risk. Now you when you go to next again, you have to go to the part that has the architecture in it, and that was it. So for a 16-bit risk architecture, uh, wait a second. Hmm. Oh yeah, a 16-bit RISC architecture is something that you should also Google online, because not all of the things Texas Instrument can provide in a single datasheet, especially something so wide as architecture type. So 16-bit RISC architecture, when we Google here, we can see that there are whole documents on this. To be more specific, Texas Instruments we can search, right? Texas Instruments, and when we search this, see, this is the 430 series, so we can get pretty close to what we want. We can type MSP, right? MSP 430, whatever our series. Now when we enter this, from here on we can get the data sheets. See, here it is, MSP 430 ultra low power microcontrollers. This is what we had. So we see and we write the architecture from here, and we move on to the next question. The next question is correlate the microprocessing element architecture with architecture discussed in module 1 and 2. Now, in module 1 and 2, we learned about the von Neumann style and the Harvard style of architecture, and this is the 16-bit RISC architecture. Now, the MSP 430 family utilizes a von Neumann style architecture, as the performance benefit of separate processes is greatly reduced when good caches are added. We have come to a point in computing where we have created such amazing and speedy, fast caches that there is no need to differentiate the buses. In fact, even we have a single bus for both data transfer, instruction transfer, all those things. It does not impact, because the speed is in terms of nanoseconds, sometimes even picoseconds. So it does not matter. So that's the thing. We go for a Harvard architecture, and actually we in today's time of computing, we never go for a solely von Neumann or Harvard architecture. We always combine it. We take the good of everything and leave the negative of everything. That is precisely what Texas Instrument has done here. It has taken the best of both von Neumann and Harvard architecture, right? So that is how I've compared. I've added block diagrams of both von Neumann and MSP 430, and so we'll move on to the next question. Wait, before we do that, let us see what all we have uploaded. Yeah. Now, register organization of microprocessing element. Now, register element, again you have to go to the data sheet, and you have to go to the index and read the index completely, like where is it written about registers and all that. So when you look at it, device overview, functional block diagram, right? Now you have to go to where you think the registers overview might be there. So when you look at this, it has to be in the detailed description, right? So in not certainly not in the memory map. You have to go to perhaps the CPU here. So let's go to page number 72. We'll go a couple of pages further. See, here it is. As I said, the CPU is integrated with 16 registers. Now we are at the register management. 4 of the registers, R0 to R3, are described as their purposes are also given here. And that is what we've explained in our answer. We have explained about the register management. Now we go to question number 6. Type of algorithm. Again, type of algorithm was a pretty straightforward question, because all these are not the typically standard booth algorithm that we see and use. These are these also depend upon the hardware use. So this is something you have to Google again, because it's a 32-bit hardware multiplier, not a part of the CPU, right? It's a peripheral, so you won't get it in the CPU part of the data sheet. Again, this is just more stuff about how the it works. And for the next question, which is type of control logic unit. Now this was a very interesting question, because it answers questions about the power efficiency of our IC, about how the control logic uses to save memory and power at the same time. Now the it all depends on the bits in the SFRs which enable interrupts and support the softwares, right? And this also we can see in the datasheet itself. Let me show you control logic unit. Again, you search, you delete architecture, control logic. See, exact matches, control logic, 3 exact matches we have in our control logic. And yeah, this is the control logic of the charge pump control. And when we go next, see, these were the control bus logic control, and these were about the control logic. Next question. Question 8. Question 8 is about the memory management system, and this is again a straightforward question because we can get this in the index itself. Let's go to the index, and here we are, memory map 143, memory organization. Here it is. Oh, sorry, I came back to the wrong page. Yeah, here we are, memory map, and uh, yeah, memory management system. Now this is just whatever is written in there with the table, of course. Now the pipeline and parallel processing techniques. Now a pipeline is the mechanism the RISC processor uses to execute instructions, and parallel pipeline is basically serial, and parallel, as the name suggests, is one or more tasks being done simultaneously at the same time. Now the RISC machines are designed to keep the pipeline busy, and CISC, which is RISC, is the reduced instruction side architecture, and CISC is the more complex one. Now RISC have more regular timings, and they have typically low latency. Now parallel, it's not the same thing. It's designed to be more efficient, but at the same time it's structurally complex, and it's a structural hazard as well. So the RISC type architecture is based on a short instruction set. Since it's a RISC based architecture of the CPU, not a CISC, we have a 3-stage instruction pipeline. So it's the 3 instructions are loaded. They go into 3 stages, and that is the pipeline, serial communication. Now upon the hazard management technique, the pipeline bubble. This is the hazard, because bubbling the pipeline, also termed a pipeline break or pipeline stall, is a method that is hazardous, because when too many instructions pile up, the pipeline might also burst or bubble. So that is the management. And now the last question. Find whether processor level parallelism is available in the element selected. Illustrate cache variants and protocol used for handling memory hit or miss. Now, this is something that was not easy to find in the datasheet. In fact, I had to Google this. The MSP430 family does support level parallelism. So again, let me show you this. Level parallelism. Sorry for my slow typing. In MSP430 architecture. Like, the Wikipedia page is really helpful as well. And when you go back, when you go down, you can see a lot of stuff here. And so this is pretty much it. Let me come back here. Now this is the cache handling way, and of course in last we have attached the whole data sheet itself. Before we end the video on this one, this is the multiplication algorithm EPS file and the additional algorithm EPS file. These EPS files mean they are editable as well. In draw.io we have several files here, and you have uploaded more files in the secondary folder. So let me stop this video right now and upload it.